Ever had some loudmouth jackass strut up, chest puffed like has God's gift, demanding you prove you're not a fake only to watch him gag on his own arrogance when the truth hits like a freight train? Picture this, a sun-soaked pool day in suburban nowhere, kids splashing, moms haggling with floaties, the air thick with sunscreen and summer vibes. Then one guy boots stomping, voice booming, decides he's the king of this concrete kingdom, picking a fight with the wrong damn shadow. Has all bluster, all noise, pointing fingers like he's judge, jury, and bouncer rolled into one, blind to the storm he's about to unleash. What he doesn't see coming? The woman he's targeting isn't just holding her ground, she's got the kind of quiet steel that bends fools like him into knots. This isn't just a showdown, it's a masterclass in flipping the script with a twist so sharp it'll leave him and you're reeling. Stick around, because this sunny Saturday's about to go from chill to electric, and the guy who thought he'd rule the day is going to wish he'd stayed in bed. Patrice Trice Holman wasn't built for fanfare. She dodged it for years, letting her work carve its own quiet legend through tumultuous, sun-baked streets. As police chief, she ran her precinct like a chess master. Every move calculated, every piece in place, no room for chaos she didn't control. But after 3 weeks of hell-new recruits botching reports, city council breathing down her neck, and a stack of overtime she'd never claim all she craved was a single day to unclench. A beat-up folding chair, a pair of scratched Ray-Bans, and the hum of her community pool that was her escape. 9 years in this suburban pocket of California, mortgage paid off with grit and late-night coffee. She wasn't just a homeowner, she was a fixture, woven into the fabric of this place like the oak trees lining the streets. She stepped out her back door that Saturday, the screen slamming shut with a familiar twang. Barefoot, she padded across her patchy lawn, flip-flops dangling from one hand, a dented water bottle tucked under her arm. No pressed uniform, no polished badge weighing her down, just a faded gray tee hanging loose over black joggers, hair scraped into a bun that barely held. She looked like every other 50-something grinding through life, chasing a moment to breathe. The air hung heavy with summer-grilled hot dogs from a neighbor's barbecue, the faint buzz of a lawnmower 2 houses down. She crossed the short stretch to the pool gate, iron clanging as it swung open, and tossed a lazy wave at Luis, the lifeguard. He was perched on his tower, all gangly limbs and sunburned nose, scrolling his phone. "Morning, Miss Holman," he called, voice cracking like he'd just woken up. She smirked, barely, and kept moving. The pool stretched out before her, a shimmering rectangle of blue framed by cracked concrete and sagging umbrellas. She picked her spot near the shallow end, close enough to hear the water lap, far enough from the chaos of kids dive-bombing the deep end. Her chair groaned as she sank into it, canvas straining under her weight. She kicked her legs out, toes brushing the warm deck, and let her shoulders drop. The scene was pure suburbia, a couple of retirees hunched over paperbacks, pages curling in the heat, a mom in a floppy hat wrestling floaties onto a squirming toddler, a gaggle of pre-teens splashing like they owned the place. The air smelled of chlorine and sunscreen, sharp and nostalgic, cutting through the haze of her exhaustion. Trice tipped her head back, eyes half closed behind her shades, and let the sounds wash over her. Laughter spiking over the rhythmic slap of water, a breeze rustling the palms overhead. For once, her phone stayed silent in her bag. No buzz of dispatch, no rookie begging for backup. This was Hersa, rare, fragile slice of peace she'd damn well earned. Inside, she felt the tug of years 25 of them in law enforcement, hauling herself up from beat cop to chief through sheer will and a knack for seeing through bullshit. She'd faced down gangbangers, bureaucrats, and bigots, each one teaching her the same lesson. Real power didn't need a megaphone. It was in the steady hand, the unflinching eye, the refusal to bend when the world tried to break you. Today, she wasn't Chief Holman just Trice, a woman with a water bottle and a chair, blending into the crowd like she belonged. Because she did. 9 years here, she knew every crack in the pavement, every name on the HOA roster. This wasn't just a pool, it was her turf, her sanctuary, a hard-won corner of a normal shed fight tooth and nail to keep. Then came the boots. Heavy, deliberate, stomping through her calm like a truck through a puddle. Trouble had a sound, and it was headed her way. Trice didn't need to open her eyes to know the guy was a problem. Those boots hit the deck like he was marching to war, each thud a middle finger to the lazy hum of the pool. She cracked one lid, squinting against the sun, and there he was, a walking caricature of suburban swagger, 6'2" of tanned muscle stuffed into khakis and a polo so tight it looked painted on. Dennis Whitlow? His name peeked out from an HOA flyer jammed in his pocket, loomed over her chair, arms crossed, lips curled into a smirk that screamed, "I've got you figured out." No towel, no swim gear, just a sunburned neck and a glare that said he'd come to ruin someone's day. Hers, apparently. "Hey," he barked, voice slicing through the chatter like a chainsaw through quiet. "You got a resident pass for this place? Or you just squatting till someone notices?" The words dripped with accusation, loud enough to make the mom by the shallow end glance up, her toddler pausing mid-splash. Trice sat up slow, deliberate, letting him stew in his own echo. She pulled her shades down just enough to meet his eye, shazel flecked with steel, unblinking. "I live here," she said, calm as the water lapping the edge. "3 houses down." "You?" He snorted a wet, obnoxious sound that made her want to toss her water bottle at his head. "Live here?" "Yeah, right. I've been around a month, know every face that belongs. You're not one. Where's your fob, huh? Or you just hoping I'm too nice to call you out?" Inside, Trice's mind clicked like a loaded clip sliding into place. She'd seen his type before new blood, big ego, itching to mark his territory. He didn't ask questions. He threw punches, banking on her to flinch. She wouldn't. "9 years, she said, voice flat, cutting through his bluster. "Paid off my house while you were still figuring out cul-de-sacs. My fob's in my bag. Dennis saw your flyer. But I don't flash it for every loudmouth who thinks he's the welcome wagon." He blinked, thrown that shed, clocked his name, then rallied, sneer widening. "Oh, you're a regular Einstein, huh? 9 years, and I've never seen you. Bull. Your crashing probably slipped the gate when no one was looking. Prove it, or I'm hauling you out myself. Haul me out?" She leaned back, crossing her arms, a faint smirk tugging her lips. "That's adorable. Oh, you're not the sheriff, Dennis. You're a guy with a pamphlet and a grudge. My proof's 3 doors down, deed, mailbox, the works. Want a tour, or you too busy playing pool cop?" His jaw flexed, a vein pulsing in his neck like a warning light. "Don't get cute," he snapped, stepping closer, his shadow swallowing her chair. "We've had freeloaders sneaking and caught too last week. I'm not the bad guy for checking. Show me something or I'm calling security to drag your ass out." She tilted her head, unfazed, her voice dropping to a velvet blade. "Cute's your game, sweetheart. You didn't check, you accused. Saw me sitting here minding my business, and your brain shorted out. I don't owe you my ide or my story, just 'cause you're flexing for an audience that's not clapping." He laughed, sharp and mean, glancing around like he expected backup. "Oh, I get it, tough girl, huh? I take this place serious, got a kid who swims here. Don't care how long you say you've been around. No fob, no proof, you're out. End of story." "End of story?" She raised an eyebrow, leaning forward now, her smirk sharpening. "You're writing fiction, Dennis. I've been here longer than your kid's been tying shoes. Call security, tell them Trice Holman's trespassing. They'll laugh you back to whatever hole you crawled out of." His eyes narrowed, fists clenching at his sides. "Keep talking," he growled. "I'll have you banned by sundown, fob or no fob." Dennis didn't budge. He rooted himself there, boots scuffing the concrete like he was staking a claim. His chest puffed out like a rooster in a henhouse. The pool's lazy buzz faded under his glare, the air tightening as his shadow stretched over Trice's chair, blocking the sun like a petty dictator. "You're real funny," he said, voice thick with venom, each word a jab meant to draw blood. "Trice Holman, huh? Never heard of you. Probably made it up some sob story to dodge the rules." He yanked his phone from his pocket, waving it like a badge of honor. "I've got the HOA prez on speed dial, Ken'll sort this out. You'll be packing up before I finish this call." Trice didn't twitch. Her chair creaked as she shifted, legs crossing slow and deliberate, her stare pinning him like a bug under glass. Inside, her mind hummed sharp, cold, mapping every crack in his armor. He was loud, sure, but loud was just noise without weight. She had faced down worse drunks with knives, suits with agendas, and learned the game. Let him talk, let him trip, then hit where it hurts. Go ahead, she said, voice smooth and steady. Dial Ken. Tell him Trice Holman's squatting at her own pool. Ilwake got nothing but time and this nice view of you, sweating through your polo. His thumb froze over the screen, his smirk twitching like a bad signal. Big talk, he shot back, louder now, fishing for the crowd's attention. No fob, no proof, just a mouth that won't quit. You're scared to show it because you've got squat. I'm not some punk you can bluff. I take this place serious. He leaned in, close enough she could see the sweat beading on his upper lip. Got an 8-year-old swims here every weekend. Don't trust randoms hanging around, acting like they own it. Randoms? Trace's eyes flashed, her voice firm but calm, cutting through his noise. You saw a black woman chilling solo and your brain screamed outsider. That's not about your kid, it's about you needing a win. I don't flash fobs for petty tyrants who skip hello to play judge and jury. His face darkened, a flush crawling up his neck like a rash. Oh, here we go, he barked, loud enough the retirees flinched, pages fluttering, pulling that card typical. I'm protecting this community, and you're spinning excuses. Maybe you snuck in because you can't hack the deuce ever think I'd see through that? He grinned, smug as hell, like he'd cracked the case. She leaned forward, her expression hard, no nonsense. See through? Dennis, you couldn't see through a window with Windex. I've paid dues here since you were still kissing your mama's apron strings. You're not protecting your peacocking. Keep flapping, your feathers are falling fast. He laughed, harsh and hollow, glancing around for allies. Peacocking? That's rich. I've got a kid to think about, don't need sketchy types like you stirring trouble. Show the damn fob or I'll handle this myself. Sketchy? She stood now, slow and deliberate, her 5'7" frame suddenly towering over his bluster. You saw me, decided I don't fit your HOA bingo card, and ran with it. That's not instinct, that's prejudice with a side of stupid. I don't owe you a scene or a scrap, 'cause you're too lazy to ask, hey, you knew? Instead of prove it, her voice stayed even, each word landing like a stone. His fists balled, knuckles white. Keep yapping, he growled, stepping closer, his breath hot and sour. I'll make sure you're out of here, fob or no fob. I've got ways to deal with people like you. People like me? She didn't blink, her tone steady and sharp. You mean people who don't jump when you bark? I don't owe you proof. I owe you a mirror. Look hard, you're the stranger here. And everyone's starting to see it. The pool shifted, heads turned, slow and subtle, like a tide creeping in. The teen by the water, phone clutched, smirked, her thumb itching to hit record. Carl lowered his book, bushy brows knitting, a grunt escaping his throat. Luis yanked his earbuds out, squinting hard, cap twisting in his hands. Florence peeked over her shades, lips pursed like she'd tasted bad wine. Dennis caught the shift, his grin faltering, but he puffed louder. No fob still? Guess I'm right, you're bluffing. We'll take care of this my way. He slipped his phone back into his pocket, a glint in his eye like he'd just decided to escalate things himself. No security, just him. Trice saw it coming, her gut tightening, but she held her ground, ready for whatever he'd pull next. Dennis' face twisted into a snarl, his phone still dangling like a loaded gun he didn't know how to fire. The pool deck felt smaller now, the air thick with chlorine and the weight of every eye slowly turning their way. He'd painted himself into a corner, and instead of backing off, he doubled down, like a guy who'd rather crash the car than admit he missed the turn. You're bluffing, he spat, voice rising to a pitch that cracked halfway through. Trice Holman? Never heard of you. You're just some loudmouth banking on me folding. Well, guess what? I don't scare easy. He jabbed a finger at her, close enough she could smell the stale coffee on his breath. Show the fob, or I'm done asking nice. Trice didn't move. Her chair creaked as she shifted, just enough to let him think he'd rattled her, but her eyes stayed locked on his, steady as a sniper's scope. Inside, her mind raced, not with fear, but with the quiet thrill of watching a fool dig his own grave. She'd seen this playbook 100 times sidewalks, precincts, city council meetings, guys like Dennis, who thought volume and a pointed finger made them right. He wasn't just wrong, he was predictable, and that made him hers to dismantle. "Done asking nice?" she said, voice low, each word a brick dropping into place. "You never started nice, Dennis. You stomped over here like some HOA cowboy, guns blazing, assuming I'd scatter. Newsflash, I don't spook, and I don't owe you a performance just cause your ego's itching." She paused, letting the silence sink in, then tilted her head with a smirk that could cut glass. "But you're dying to make this a circus, aren't you? Go one, call your cavalry. I'll pop some popcorn." His nostrils flared, red creeping up his neck like a tide. "You think this is a joke?" he barked, loud enough that the mom by the shallow end scooped her toddler closer, floaties bobbing. "I'm not some punk you can sass. I've got a badge, Riverside PD, 8 years on the force. I know trespassers, lady, and you're ticking every box. No fob, big attitude screams guilty. So last chance, prove you're legit, or you'll have you cuffed and hauled out faster than you can blink." A ripple ran through the crowd. The teen curly hair, phone now raised, gasped, her thumb hovering over record. Carl coughed, a dry, knowing sound, his paperback forgotten on his lap. Louise stood, cap in hand, muttering, "Whoa," dude under his breath. Even Florence, the gray-haired queen of the lounge chairs, peered over her sunglasses. One brow arched like she'd just heard a bad punchline. Dennis grinned, soaking it in, mistaking their shock for support. He thought he'd dropped the mic. He had no idea Trice was about to snatch it and break it over his head. "Riverside PD, huh?" Trice said, her tone so calm it was almost a purr, but the kind a lion lets out before it lunges. She reached into her bag, slow and deliberate, fingers brushing past her water bottle, a pack of gum, a folded towel. Dennis leaned in, smug as hell, expecting her to fumble, to crack, to pull nothing but excuses. Instead, she drew out a slim leather case, held it between two fingers like a winning card, and flicked it open with a snap that echoed across the pool. Gold gleamed in the sun. Temecula PD, Chief Patrice Holman, etched in bold, unmissable letters. 8 years is cute," she said, standing now, her shadow stretching over him. "I've got 25. And I don't flash this for kicks, but you begged for it, Officer Whitlow. So here's your proof. Choke on it." The air froze. Dennis' grin vanished, his badge hand twitching like he'd been slapped. His mouth opened, closed, opened again, fish out of water, gulping for a comeback that wouldn't come. You can't," he stammered, voice a pathetic squeak. "Can't what?" she cut in, stepping closer, her presence a wall he couldn't climb. "Can't be the chief? Can't outrank your sorry ass by a decade and a half? Or can't sit by my pool without some wannabe cop playing gatekeeper?" Her eyes bored into him, sharp enough to draw blood. "You rolled up here, saw a black woman minding her business, and decided I'm the threat. Profiled me with your little tin star like it's a superpower. Well, surprise genius. I'm the one who trains guys like you. And you just flunked the test." The teen whooped, "Phone up now, filming every second." "Get him, Chief," she yelled, voice cracking with glee. Carl clapped slow, deliberate, a grin splitting his weathered face. Louise shook his head, laughing soft. "Man, you're toast." Florence called out, dry as gin, "Should have checked the newsletter, hon." The mom by the pool hugged her kid tighter, but her lips twitched a smile she couldn't hide. Dennis spun, wild-eyed, realizing the crowd wasn't his anymore. It was hers. He rallied one last desperate swing. This doesn't mean squat," he shouted, voice fraying. "I didn't know I was just doing my job." "You could have said, said what?" Trice snapped, her calm cracking just enough to let the fire peek through. "That I'm the boss? That I've lived here 9 years, paid dues while you were still figuring out how to tie your shoes? I don't advertise, Dennis. I don't have to. You assumed I'm nothing because I didn't bow. That's on you. And now you're a cop who can spot the real authority 10 feet away." How's that feel, officer? Nobody. He staggered back, badge wallet slipping from his grip, clattering on the concrete. The sound was small, but it rang like a gong. His face burned crimson, sweat beading on his forehead, eyes darting for an escape. He'd come in loud, chest out, ready to rule. Now he was a punchline, shrinking under the weight of a truth he couldn't dodge. He'd picked the wrong fight, with the wrong woman, and lost everything he thought he had. Dennis didn't just retreat, collapsed like a house of cards in a gust. His badge wallet hit the concrete with a pathetic clink, lying there like a busted toy while he fumbled to jam his phone back into his pocket. The pool deck had turned into a spotlight, and he was the guy who tripped over his own lines. "This is insane," he mumbled, voice a frayed wire barely cutting through the teen's snicker and the splash of a kid's dive. He glared at Trice, then the crowd, hunting for a scrap of respect to salvage. All he got were stares, some pitying, some amused, none on his side. "I'm not the bad guy here," he said, louder, desperate, but it flopped, drowned by the hum of the pool and Carl's slow, mocking clap. Trice stood there, badge case still in her grip, not waving it around, just holding it like it was no big deal. She didn't need to chase him down or rub it in. She'd already taken him apart, and the win wasn't in the badge, it was in how she'd let him bury himself. Inside, she felt the old mix of tired and tough. This wasn't her first rodeo with a guy like Dennis, 25 years on the ball, had thrown her worse. But it had always left a mark. Not anger, just a dull ache that some people still saw her skin before her story. She'd learned to fight those battles quiet, with facts and a steady hand, and let the fallout sort itself out. He tried one last jab, a dying spark of ego. "You think this changes anything?" he said, pointing at her badge, his hand shaking like a leaf in a storm. "I was looking out for this place, my kid, my neighbors. You're the one making it a damn circus." His voice cracked and the teen's phone caught every wobble, her lens locked on him. Trice tilted her head, her face set, no smirk, just stone-cold truth. "A circus? Dennis, you stomped over here like you were raiding a drug den, throwing orders at a woman you didn't bother to know. You made it a show. I just turned on the lights. If you cared about your kid, you'd have said, 'Hey, who are you?' instead of playing tough guy. Don't pull the neighbor card now. You're just pissed you look like a fool." That landed hard, and he flinched, shoulders slumping as the crowd's murmur picked up. Florence chimed in, her voice dry and sharp. "She's right, buddy. You didn't ask, you pointed fingers. We've known Trice for years. Where have you been?" Carl nodded, grumbling. "Should have stayed in Riverside, man." The teen grinned, lowering her phone. "This is going up too good not to," she said, half asking Trice. Trice shrugged. "Your funeral, kid. I don't do replays." Dennis snatched his wallet off the ground, fingers clumsy, and turned to leave. His boots dragged now, no strut left, just a guy shuffling away, muttering whatever like it saved face. Nobody cared to hear it. The pool kicked back into gear. Kids splashed. Luis sank into his chair, earbuds back in, and the mom by the shallow end laughed as her toddler finally took to the water. But the vibe had shifted. People glanced at Trice, quick nods or small smiles, a quiet buzz hanging in the air. She sat back down, badge slipping into her bag, shades dropping over her eyes. She didn't crow about it. It didn't need to. The proof was in Dennis' retreat, the way he'd shrunk from loudmouth to nobody in 10 minutes flat. By evening, it was spreading. She walked home, sandals smacking the pavement, towel over her shoulder, catching bits from neighbors folding up their gear. "That Whitlow guy messed with the wrong one," a woman said, stacking chairs. "Chief Holman shut him down. Didn't even break a sweat," her husband chuckled. Trice kept her head down, but her phone lit up as she hit her kitchen. Eliza texting, "Heard you smoked a cop at the pool." "Details," Trice typed back. "Just set him straight, no drama." She grabbed a beer, popped it open, and took a long pull, the cold fizz settling her nerves. Florence swung by later, pool hat still on, a Tupperware of pasta salad in hand. "Made too much," she said, casual, but her eyes had a spark. "You took him apart out there, Trice, like watching a pro boxer dodge a drunk. Folks saw it meant something." Trice took the dish, nodding. "Appreciate it, Flo, just doing my thing." Florence headed off, but her words stuck. Next morning, Ken texted, "Spoke to Dennis is backing off. You okay?" She replied, "Good. keep the new guys in check. At the station, a clerk dropped off mail, and one letter stood out handwritten, no sender. Inside, Chief Holman, I was there with my son, 10. He said, she didn't yell, but she won. Thanks for showing him strength doesn't need a fist. Trice tucked it away, sipping her coffee, the badge on her counter glinting. It wasn't the medal that did it, it was her. Sunday, she hit the corner roast after her walk. Jonah, the barista, grinned as she walked in. Chief, you're all over next door pool guy versus legend. Coffee's on me. She took it, shaking her head. Didn't do anything special. He shrugged. That's why it's sticking. Later, the teens video hit the neighborhood group grainy, but there she was, cool as ice. Dennis crumbling. Comments piled up. Respect. That's our chief. Trice didn't check it. She didn't need to. That afternoon, Mateo, the kid next door, ran up with her borrowed hose. Did you arrest that guy? She laughed. Nah, just sent him packing. He beamed. You're cool, Ms. Trice. She watched him go, the day's weight settling in, not heavy, just real. Here's the thing. Real power doesn't need to yell, it stares you down and waits for you to blink. Dennis thought he'd roll in, loud and proud, and make Trice prove she belonged. He didn't count on her flipping it, not with fists or a shouting match, but with a calm that cut deeper than any comeback. She didn't just win, she showed him up without breaking a sweat, and that's what stuck. Not the badge, not the title, just a woman who knew her worth and didn't budge when some fool tried to shrink her. That's the kind of strength that lingers, the kind you don't forget. It's not about being a hero, Trice wouldn't call it that. It's about standing your ground when someone's dead set on pushing you off it. Dennis saw her skin, her solitude, and figured she was fair game. He was wrong, and she made sure he and everyone watching knew it. The kid who saw it, the neighbors who whispered about it, they got more than a show. They got a lesson. You don't have to raise your voice to be heard, and you don't have to prove yourself to someone who's already checked out. Trice drew a line, quiet and clear, and let Dennis trip over it. That's power raw, real, and unshakable. So next time some blowhard tries to gatekeep your space, remember this. You don't need to play their game. Stand tall, speak straight, and let them fall. Dennis did, and Trice walked away with the day same as she started it, steady and sure. That's the takeaway here. Know who you are, and the rest sorts itself out. If this hit you, made you nod, maybe even smirk, stick around. Hit that subscribe button, drop a like, and ring the bell. We're bringing more stories like this, real people, real fights, real wins, no fluff. Trice's tale isn't the only one we've got up our sleeve, so don't miss the next round. Tell us below, ever had a Dennis in your life? How'd you handle it? Let's keep this rolling.